Welcome back to another lesson with me, Mr. B. In today's lesson, we're going to learn about what goes in a resume and a cover letter. So we're going to look at what goes in a resume, the types of resumes that I know of at least, and look at some examples from myself and some students. So a resume is a summary of your background, skills, and qualifications, which is sent to your employers for review. It's your personal marketing brochure, and it's a one-page document to gain the employer's attention and provide the information they need to bring you to the next step of the hiring process, which is an interview. So why is a resume so important? It's often the first thing that your employer is going to look at, and it serves as a first impression before the hiring process or during the hiring process. A well-written resume tells your employer a lot about your professionalism, your work ethic, and your job experience. It improves the chances of receiving an interview. So just to be clear, there is no one way to write a resume. What I'm going to share with you all are some of the tips and guides that I've been given when I was looking for a job, and just applying what different mentors have taught me about resume writing and hiring processes that I've been a part of. So first, the functional resume. The functional resume focuses on skills and experience, and it's often used when changing careers or just showing gaps in employment. This is strictly just listing the skills or experience that you have, not really getting into any further detail. The next one would be a chronological resume. This would list the most recent positions first, and if you're looking at the job posting, you might want to list what is preferred by the employers, so maybe relevant experience, and chronological is typically the most common resume. And the last one that I'm going to share here is both chronological and functional. This provides all the relevant skills while providing a chronological work history, and it emphasizes what makes you the best fit for the job, while giving the employer desired information about what you did on those jobs. So we're going to go over to Google Classroom, and in lesson 4.8, resume and cover letter, you're going to find specifically this document that everyone should have a copy of, resume and cover letter template. When you open that document, you should see this one pager. Your resume needs to be one page. Why is this important? Back when there wasn't really any digital way to submit your resume, you were literally handing in a paper copy of this file. And so you just wanted to be something at a glance, something that you see immediately. And when I was a student assistant, my boss at the time was bringing me on into the hiring process to learn how to hire and interview for student assistants. So one of the first things she said was, if a resume is over one page, she wasn't looking at it. And I've also learned that as well. And a lot of the guides that I've seen and mentors that have taught me on resume writing have suggested that it needs to be one page. So typical resume might start off with your contact information at the top, with your name, address, phone number, and email, or whatever other contact information you would like to provide. Following that is this thing called an objective. So an objective is traditionally a brief or specific statement related to that particular job or field that you're applying to. It's specifically one sentence. It's a little bit old school. Not a lot of people have objectives anymore in their resume because it does take a little bit of space and there's a lot of generic language that goes into it. So it doesn't really say much about the applicant. But traditionally, objectives help portray what is your intention for applying to this job and what do you want to get out of it. The next section is education. So here you're going to want to list out the degree that you're getting or that you're expected to be getting. You want to put the location of where your institution is, the school's name, and then the expected graduation date if you're not done yet. In this case, you would write our school and your expected graduation date. Sometimes in education sections, like it says right here, you can list courses you took that are relevant to the program or that you're applying for. Even if you want to include relevant AP courses you took or a project that you did, maybe you did a presentation or you competed in a competition, to show for the education that you received that could be related to the internship or job that you're applying for. Following your education section is your experience. So in the experience section, you're going to start off with the job title, the organization that it was a part of, when you were employed, and also the location of where that organization is. In the job experience, you really just want to have 3 bullet points. You don't want to go over that. And in these bullet points, you want to describe your responsibilities using actionable verbs that explain what you did. You want to make your job descriptions energetic and short and one line, just like it is right here. Just one line, one bullet point, or 3 bullet points in this case. And then you want to present the job titles in reverse chronological order from the most recent to the previous. And so earlier we mentioned that there were chronological resumes. There are 2 ways to say this. It says right here, most recent positions first. So that's why it's called reverse chronological, because you're putting the most present positions at the top. And the reason you want to do that because it shows the most relevant and recent experience that you've had related to the job that you're applying to. So just to reemphasize, bullet point format is preferred by the majority of employers, and you want to sell yourself. Focus on the results, skills, leadership, initiative, and teamwork related items or descriptions that you've accomplished or participated in that job experience, internship, or volunteer opportunity. And again, keep it between 3 to 4 bullet points per job title. Because if you have a lot of things that you want to include on your resume, you want to keep them short and concise. The next section that you could have on your resume is the skills section. So this could be in bullets, or you can just list them. This could include your proficiency in another language. This could emphasize computer skills that you have. This could emphasize artistic skills that you have, something that you think is relevant to the job that you're applying to that might be desirable to up your chances of getting an interview. And then lastly, other headings. This is an optional section. This could just be bullet points. You could just list them. This could be about community service opportunities you have, volunteering that you've done, extracurriculars, maybe awards that you've received or certificates that you've gotten, anything that you feel is relevant. Or even if it's not relevant, you just want to show, hey, look, these are the things that I've done to kind of, sell yourself and show off how great of a person you are. All right, so let's look at one of my old examples. So this is my resume from when I was applying to be a teacher in San Francisco. So we got my contact information at the top over here, followed by the education section. You can see that I'm only listing my college experience, or specifically my bachelor's and my master's candidacy at the time. I didn't list my high school experience because, again, I'm putting what I find the most relevant information for the hiring manager to know. In your case, you would state the school and then your high school diploma and the expected graduation date like I did over here. Following that is the experience section. So if we scroll down, I have a multitude of experience. I broke it up into 3 different sections. So at some places, I've had multiple positions there. And so what I did is I broke it up kind of like by location. Even though all of these are in San Francisco, I wanted to really emphasize that there was a separate time that I was a substitute teacher, and specifically with SFUSD, meaning I'm already employed with where I was trying to apply to. I wanted to emphasize that I spent a lot of time at a specific high school in one location, and that I did my internship there, and I also did another internship there as well. Then I listed some other internship or fellowship opportunities that I felt were relevant and that I really wanted to highlight. I did other internships at different high schools. I also had a paid summer job as a teacher, and I wanted to emphasize that. And if you notice, I have about 5 bullet points here. I know I said to keep it at 3 or 4, but I really wanted to emphasize what I did as a student teacher because that was probably where I learned the most about becoming a teacher, to emphasize that, hey, I'm ready for this job. And then as we scroll down to the rest of this one page, oh, look, okay, so with Breakthrough San Francisco over here, I listed my other positions, selection committee, 7th and 8th grade tutor, but I just didn't get into the details. And with additional, I listed the job that I hold, which was a student assistant position over at the University of San Francisco. I didn't include any bullet points because I didn't feel any of the information I was going to provide about those jobs or positions was relevant to the position I was applying for, let alone I really, again, wanted to emphasize the 5 things that I've learned or done during student teaching. So just to follow that up with a student example, and they kind of follow that same traditional format, they have a profile and career interest section. So again, this is like kind of their objective. They said to be creative and a dedicated student who is interested in gaining experience as a part-time employee. That's a very typical objective sentence to say that they're looking for a job, and that's why they're applying. They included their education, their expected graduation date from the university that they're currently at. They even included their major. It seems that they've put their skills section first because they feel like it's important to recognize that they're a good team player, that they're a good leader, that they're organized. And then after that, they have their job experience. And they've listed about 2 bullet points per each. It seems they have 4 different positions, and they wanted to really highlight all of the different things they've done throughout probably their high school career. And then they have a separate section for volunteer experience and then activities and awards that they've received. So as I mentioned earlier, yeah, when you're kind of building a resume and you don't have as much work experience as I did with all those internships I had, you want to list all of the things that you've done and that you feel that relate to the skills or the things that this person wants to highlight in their resume. Okay, so cover letters. A cover letter, this is the second part to what goes with a resume traditionally. A cover letter is something that allows you to demonstrate your ability to write and offers a first statement of why you should be hired. So this, again, is a template. A cover letter has your contact information, the details of the person you are addressing, and then 3 paragraphs, which aren't very long paragraphs. There's an opening, a middle, and a closing. And so the opening paragraph, it really just states again, why you're applying for this specific position. It's like the objective, but a little bit longer. And you can personalize it in introducing yourself and stating why you want to work for this organization. The middle paragraph, similar to your resume, can outline some of the qualifications that you have that make you a strong candidate. And you can go into more detail than the things that are written on your resume. Maybe you want to highlight something particularly about what would make me a good employee if you hired me. And in the closing paragraph, you kind of just discuss the next steps. It's kind of more of a formality section where you thank the employer for reviewing your resume and taking the time to consider your application. And then make sure you have a signature at the end. And so what does a cover letter do exactly? So the cover letter traditionally, like I mentioned, if you're having a paper resume, the cover letter would be on top of the resume. And this would be put into a basket or something. And so when the hiring manager sees this cover letter, it's going to be the first thing that they see, and they could read about you, flip over to the resume and be like, oh, wow, look, this person has a lot of job experience. And they go back, I want to learn more about this person. They'll go back to that one pager. So the reason why that these are one page each, again, at a glance, they want to know who you are, see a little personality by having something like a cover letter. Again, similarly with the contact information at the top, like I mentioned, date, name of the employer, the company that you're addressing, who you're writing to. And if you don't know, you could just say to whom it may concern or hiring manager. And like I just mentioned, the 3 short paragraphs. So I'm going to show the cover letter that I wrote for when I was applying to a part-time job back in college. And if we look here, format's the same, right? Got my contact information right here. We have the person that I'm addressing, which was my boss. And then I wrote to them. I expressed my interest in wanting to be a student position. I stated my major, kind of who I am. And then I listed the experiences that I've had from being involved in on-campus organizations, that I've tutored, that I have a job at a boba cafe or a dessert cafe. And I wanted to highlight that I have real-time customer service experience, which actually I probably pulled this language from the job posting that they had to show that like, hey, it says that you're looking for someone who has customer service experience. I have that. And I'm also great at communicating because I'm a tutor and I work with one of the campus's cultural organizations. And then at the end, I said I'm excited to work at this office, and I enclosed my resume in this email, and I said I hope to hear from them soon. And then I did get an interview shortly after. All right, so I hope that overview of what goes in a resume and what goes in a cover letter and why they're so important was helpful. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.